Scene script. Have you ever wondered how melons are grown? Today, we unravel the mystery. There's a certain magic to that moment when you slice open a fresh, juicy melon. The burst of fragrance, the vibrant colors, the anticipation of that first bite. But have you ever stopped to consider the journey this succulent fruit embarked upon to get to your table? It all begins with a tiny seed, a bit of soil, and a whole lot of love and care. Melons are a delightful summer treat, and they come in a spectacular array of types. From the sweet and succulent cantaloupe, with its orange, juicy flesh, to the refreshingly crisp watermelon, and let's not forget the exotic allure of honeydew and cassava. Each variety has its own unique flavor, texture, and nutritional benefits. They're not just tasty, they're a treasure trove of health benefits too. Rich in vitamins, antioxidants, and hydration, melons are a delicious way to nourish your body. Now imagine having an endless supply of these mouth-watering fruits right in your backyard. No more trips to the grocery store, no more worrying about the quality of produce. Just step outside, pluck a ripe melon from your very own melon patch, and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Growing melons might seem like a daunting task, but with the right knowledge and a bit of patience, it's an achievable dream. And the satisfaction of biting into a melon that you cultivated with your own hands, well, that's beyond compare. This journey of growing melons from seed to fruit is a fascinating one. It's a process that's as natural as it is scientific, as rewarding as it is challenging. And the results? Absolutely delicious. So are you ready to embark on this melon growing adventure, to immerse yourself in the world of melon farming, to learn the ins and outs of cultivating these luscious fruits? Then brace yourself, because we're about to dive into the intricacies of melon farming. Stay tuned to learn the step-by-step process of growing your own melons. Before you start, you need to understand the basics. Growing melons isn't akin to rocket science, but it does require some knowledge. Now, the first thing to remember is that melons are sun-loving fruits. They thrive in warmth and need a good amount of sunlight to grow. So if you're somewhere with a colder climate, you might want to reconsider, or perhaps consider indoor farming. Now, speaking of warmth, the best time to plant melon seeds is after the last frost of spring. You see, frost can be detrimental to these tropical fruits. The cold can damage the seeds, hinder their germination, or even kill the young plants. So, it's best to wait until the frosty season has bid adieu before you start planting your melon seeds. Also, while we're on the subject of planting, it's important to choose a location that gets ample sunlight. Remember, melons are sun worshippers. They need at least 6 to 8 hours of sunlight each day. So scout your yard, find that sunny spot, and earmark it for your melon patch. And let's not forget about the soil. Melons are not fussy eaters, but they do prefer a well-draining soil. Soggy soil can lead to root rot and other fungal diseases, so ensure your chosen spot has soil that drains well. You can always improve the drainage by adding organic matter, like compost or well-rotted manure. This not only enhances the soil structure but also provides the nutrients that your melons need to grow. Growing melons can be a rewarding experience. Seeing those round, juicy fruits hanging from the vine, knowing that you've grown them yourself, it's a feeling that's hard to match. So, are you ready to start your journey into melon farming? With the right conditions, you're ready to plant your melon seeds. Now armed with knowledge, you're ready to plant your seeds. The first step in planting your melon seeds is finding the perfect spot. Ideally, you want a location that gets plenty of sunlight and has rich, well-draining soil. Now let's talk about spacing. Melons need room to grow, so you should plant the seeds about 3 to 4 feet apart. This will ensure that each plant has enough space to thrive without competing for resources. Next, you'll need to decide how deep to plant the seeds. A depth of 1 to 2 inches is typically best. This allows the seed to be covered but not so deep that it struggles to reach the surface. Once you've planted your seeds, give them a good watering. This will help to settle the soil around them and initiate the germination process. Remember, melons love water, but they don't like to be waterlogged. Once the seeds are in the ground, the magic begins. Growing melons requires patience and care. It's not just about planting the seeds and waiting for the magic to happen. No, it's about understanding the needs of your plants and responding to them in a timely manner. Water is a crucial necessity for your melon plants. They thrive in moist but not waterlogged soil. Regular watering is especially critical during dry spells when the sun is at its peak and the soil tends to dry out faster. However, be careful not to overwater, as this can lead to root rot and other water-related diseases. The key is to maintain a balance, keep the soil damp, but not soaking wet. Another important aspect of melon care is mulching. Mulching serves a dual purpose. Firstly, it helps retain the soil's moisture, reducing the need for frequent watering. Secondly, it acts as a barrier against weeds, preventing their growth and spread. Organic mulch, such as straw or wood chips, is highly recommended as it gradually decomposes and enriches the soil with nutrients. Now, despite your best efforts, pests and diseases may still find their way to your melon plants. Common melon pests include aphids, cucumber beetles, and spider mites, among others. Diseases may range from powdery mildew to bacterial wilt. The signs to watch out for include yellowing leaves, stunted growth, wilting, and visible pests. If you notice any of these, act promptly. Use organic pesticides and fungicides to combat these issues. Remember, it's always better to prevent than to cure, so regular checks on your plants are essential. Dealing with pests and diseases is not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process that requires vigilance. Keep an eye on your plants, monitor their growth and health, and step in at the first sign of trouble. In conclusion, caring for melon plants involves regular watering, mulching, and pest control. These steps may seem daunting at first, but they become second nature with time and practice. After all, the reward of watching your melons grow healthy and strong is worth every bit of effort. Consistent care ensures your melons grow healthy and strong. The sweetest reward for a farmer is the harvest. And when it comes to melons, the reward is quite literally sweet. So, how do you know when your melons are ripe for the picking? Well, there are a few telltale signs to look out for. First, let's talk about the color. As your melons ripen, they'll start to change color. Watermelons, for instance, will turn from a bright green to a duller hue, and cantaloupes will shift from green to a light tan or yellow. But remember, color alone isn't a definitive sign of ripeness, so let's move on to the next clue. Feel the surface of your melon. A ripe melon will have a slightly rough texture and it should feel heavy for its size. This weightiness is an indication that your melon is full of juice and ready to eat. Another sign to watch for is the sugar spot, a dark, rough patch where the melon has been resting on the ground. This is where the sun's sugar has been concentrated, and it's usually a good sign that your melon is ripe. Now let's talk about harvesting. You've been patient, you've watched the signs, and now it's time to reap the fruits of your labor. When harvesting melons, it's important to use a sharp knife or pruning shears to cut the stem. Try to leave about an inch of stem on the fruit to prevent it from rotting. Be gentle when handling your melons to avoid bruising them, which can lead to premature rotting. Once you've harvested your melons, store them in a cool, dry place. Most melons will continue to ripen for a few days after they've been picked, so don't worry if they are not perfectly ripe right off the vine. And there you have it, your very own homegrown melons. Just imagine the satisfaction of biting into a juicy, sweet melon that you've nurtured from seed to fruit. Happy harvesting. Growing melons is a rewarding experience, but let's recap the process. It all starts with choosing the right location, somewhere with plenty of sun and well-drained soil. We then move on to planting the seeds, making sure they're around 2 inches deep and spaced about 2 feet apart. As the seedlings sprout, we nurture them, watering regularly but not overwatering, and protecting them from pests and diseases. Remember, melon plants love the sun, so ensure they're getting enough light to thrive. Then comes the exciting part, harvesting your melons. Use your senses to know when it's time. The melon will typically feel heavy for its size, and the underside that's been resting on the ground will have a creamy yellow color. The process might seem complex, but with diligence and care, you'll be rewarded with juicy homegrown melons. Now you know how to grow melons, it's time to try it yourself. Happy farming!